will be with us with full of energy and happy. We are going to continue to the third session of today's 3-in-1 Doctor of Administrative Science. Hello, how are you, Prof. Hadrian?
Good, thank you.
Okay, nice to see you again. Now, the third topic is about research trend and sustainability that will be presented by Professor Hadrian Jayadikerta, lecturer and researcher from School of Accounting, Economics and Finance, Curtin University, Australia. The third session will be conducted by Ibu Karisma Sidrahayu as moderator. She is student from Doctor of Administrative Science in class 2020. Mbak Karisma, are you still there? Mbak, Mbak Karisma, are you still there?
Yes, sorry, there is trouble connection.
Okay, then I will deliver it to you to conduct the third session. Please, Mbak Karisma.
Okay, thank you, Bu Bene. Good morning. Sorry, good morning. I think good morning, like that's our spirit. Fighting same is good morning, and today is good afternoon. Good afternoon, all ladies and gentlemen. Today we have in the session 3, the third session is the topic is about research trend in sustainability, and this topic will be held from will be taught by Prof. Hadrian Jayadikerta. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
How are you?
nice to meet you again in here. I think last month we already meet in also in Zoom. You will be reviewer at Bapak Sata, right?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. And now I will be moderator for the third topic is about research trend in sustainability. Okay. Before we start the session, allow me to introduce the curriculum vitae from Prof. Hadrian Jayadikerta. The Professor Hadrian Jayadikerta is the accounting discipline lead in the School of Accounting, Economic and Finance in Curtin University. Prof. Hadrian is an award-winning academic and HDR supervisor with sustainability and corporate governance and his key research area. So, and he has an accounting, management, and industrial engineering background and expertise. He has had a widespread academic career, previously having held positions at the University of South Wales, the University of Technology Sydney, Lincoln University, and Edith Cowan University. Not only that, he also held various academic leadership roles, including research dean in business and law, head of commerce, consists in accounting, finance, economic, MIS, and project management discipline. He also director of MBA and postgraduate program. Also international dean in business and law, accounting accreditation chair, and leader of sustainability and corporate governance research cluster. Professor Hadrian Jayadikerta is also active in publication and has received multiple research grants. He has been an investigator in many research grants, including Australian Cooperative Research Centre, the Department of Forage, the Department of Forage Affairs and Trade, and Industry and Professional Grant. He has supervised more than 20 PhD students and examined number of PhD theses. He has received multiple accolades, including the Vice Chancellor Excellence in the Research Supervision Award and the Vice Chancellor Award for Excellence in Teaching, the Best Paper Award at the Accounting and Finance Association of Australia and New Zealand Conference, and a Willis Top Science Paper. He has been a regular judge at the Wharton QS Reimagine Education Award. So long story. Prof. Hadrian Jadikerta also been long active in not-for-profit social, educational, and cultural engagement. He also held management, business consulting, and corporate coaching position in the US and Indonesia in both the private and public sector, including list and state-owned enterprise, small and medium-sized enterprise, and government ministry. He has been invited to provide evidence detail to the parliamentary inquiry in short-stay accommodation with the VA Economics and Industry Standing Committee. For the education, Prof. Hadrian holds a PhD in accounting from the University of Technology Sydney, and he is chartered accounting. He also have a certificate on management accounting and Stanford certificate project manager. He also complete a business analytic program in the University of Cambridge. I think this is very interesting to hear that's his story. Not only his story, but I think the topic will be very interesting about research trend in the sustainability, because from this he background is very have many experience, and I think after this we can hear, this sharing session is about the topic research trend in sustainability for Prof. Hadrian Jayadikerta. I think we will give you time around 40 minutes, and then for after that we have a sharing session like that. Okay, Prof. Hadrian, time is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for a very long introduction about me. Okay, so I'm a good friend of University of Brawijaya. Right? So I just came back from UB Malang actually on Friday. I saw also my good friends there, Dr. Benny Utahayan also attending these sessions. So good afternoon, Benny as well. So today I was asked to present a topic in relation to research trend in sustainability. So I'm not really sure whether it's a good time or not, because I believe you have now lunch already. So at least that's a good thing that you have lunch. But at the same time, usually after lunch you feel sleepy. So and then I'm also the third presenter, right? So you already got two presenters in the morning. So hopefully my topic is still interesting, right? So and then provide some insights for you. Later in the Q&A, you are welcome to ask questions, obviously, right? If you feel that you got really actually questions that you need to ask, but you got difficulty in saying it in English, feel free to ask me in Indonesian as well, right? That's actually fine. So the idea is to provide chances for you to ask questions and probably discuss the questions together. All right, so let me share my screen. Can you see the screen? Presentation screen?
Yes,
Yes,
already.
we see yours. Yes,
Okay.
already see your screen.
Yeah. All right. So the topic for today is about research trend in sustainability. It's part of this advancing research capacity sustainability 3-in-1 Doctor of Administrative Science at University of Brawijaya. So, okay. So I believe this is the one that mentioned before, right? Taken probably from my website, right? So I don't need to repeat this again. So the brief of the presentation is like this, right? So we got this research trend in sustainability, and then when we talk about sustainability, it encompasses a wide range of topics and disciplines aimed at addressing pressing environmental, social, and economic challenges to ensure a more sustainable and resilient future for our planet. These presentations then will delve into the profound importance of the research process, focusing on sustainability, uncovering the fundamentals of worthy research, and providing insight on research gaps and trends. So more or less, this would be the presentation that you will hear from me today. Ideas of the presentation is to give you some knowledge or insight, if you like, in relation to the research process as an important part of, I think, of this session. Most of you, I believe, are doctoral students, right? I heard also there's some master students that were invited as well. Probably some of you also joined. But the idea is that to learn about the importance of research process, and then when we focus on sustainability, I would like to also introduce the concept of sustainability. So for those of you who have actually understand it, it will be a review. But for those who actually never actually heard probably what sustainability, you will know what sustainability in this context. So these are the agenda. I will start the presentations by talking about research process. And then we discuss the ideas of research trend. What does it mean by research trend? And then we talk about sustainability concept. And then we continue with the trend in sustainability research. And after that, we got the Q&A session and also open discussion. So when we talk about research process, we basically usually look at the ideas of what we actually want to do for research. So start with the ideas. Okay, I want to do research. I need to find a research idea. How can we find a research idea? As a beginner, right? If you like, then you can talk to a more experienced researcher. As an experienced researcher, you can talk to your peer researchers. That discussion will lead to probably an initial ideas of research. The next step is to review published literature. We go to journal publication, for example, look for topics that relates to our ideas and try to basically learn what has been done and what has not been done. So this review of published literature will build the ideas stronger. And then we communicate with business practitioners if we want to see what's going on in the real world or in the industry. The qualities of feasible research ideas is something that the researcher must be passionate about. So you are a doctoral student, for example. If you actually do a research that you don't like, that's actually hard. So you choose a topic that you like. That's actually the key or one of the key important aspects of doing a research, that you need to choose a topic that you actually like. So the journey in terms of completing the research itself will be smoother, would be nicer if you like the topic. Okay, as a doctoral student, sometimes you got a boundary because you deal with your supervisor, sometimes you need to negotiate in terms of your topic, but as much as possible, try to find a topic that really you passionate about. Then the topic needs to be specific and precise with clear boundaries. And then you need to be able to develop feasible research questions for investigation. And then at the end, the contribution actually needed to be shown. So in this case, there are expectations that the findings will yield important and relevant implications. So I may probably repeat a bit. I'm not really sure, some discussion from the previous presenter, but this is a start of a research process, a research idea. Now, for a quality research, you need to complete your thesis, right, or your dissertation, you call it there, for your doctoral study. Or if you want to write a paper for a quality journal, you will need to convince the thesis examiners or the journal's editors that you offer original research. So that's one key word there, original research, with potential contribution to the literature and practice. So the focus of doing a research, especially at the doctoral level, focuses on the process and contribution. That's the two things that you have in mind always. How the process is done and what are the expected contributions. If you fulfill those two or these two criteria, most likely you will get high level or high quality of dissertation or high quality papers. So just remember that always, right? It's not difficult to remember. Probably it's more difficult to implement that because process of research will include a lot of aspects that will be discussed soon, and also providing contribution to the literature and practice that also needs a deep thinking as well, right? But the key two things that you need to remember always is that focus on the process. If you're able to do that, it means that your process, your research is solid, then you actually pass the first stage of your paper or dissertation, and then you think about the contribution, and then you have to provide evidence in terms of how these contributions from your findings to the literature and practice. Okay, you have heard this a lot, right? Research gap, right? So the first thing that came to mind usually when you try to find a research idea is to find research gap. Right? There are 7 research gaps based on the works of Miles. Could be evidence gap, could be knowledge gaps, could be practical knowledge gap, relationship between practice and knowledge, methodology gap, empirical gap, theoretical gap, populations gap. So when you choose a research idea and then you try to find a research gap, the purpose of doing it is to try to convince the examiners or the reviewers of journal that you got original research. That's why you focus on research gap, right? By doing original research, focusing or addressing the gap, then you provide potential contribution. That's why people talk about research gap time. Okay. Now, evidence gap is the gap that involves contradiction in the findings of prior research. So there have been evidence, but the evidence were contradictory, right? So it's basically in opposites to each other. So you need to find another research to try to help the literature in terms of finding which actually the stronger evidence in a certain context. Knowledge gap is a common gap in the prior research. So if there is no gap, there is not enough knowledge actually gained from prior research, there will be a gap in terms of knowledge. Practical knowledge gap is the relationships between what's actually known from the literature and what actually happened in practice. This gap emerges when the actual behavior of professional is different from their advocated behaviors from concept. Methodological gap is quite clear. This gap deals with the conflict that occurs due to the influence of methodology on research results. So methodology can be applied using different tools, different approaches. Sometimes they actually come up with different findings. So if that really happens, then there is a methodological gap in the certain context again or certain topic. Empirical gap. This gap exists when there is a lack of empirical research finding on certain proposition or topics. So some prior scholars probably got ideas. They wrote some papers in a prescriptive way. So they haven't done empirical research or test yet. And there is a gap in terms of providing empirical finding or evidence on certain propositions or topics. Theoretical gap is a bit higher level gap. In this type of gap, scholars usually deals with whether there are theories that can be applied, right, in accordance or in addition to finding from prior research to strengthen the theoretical background of a certain topic or areas. Populations gap is a bit simple. If you like, this gap is found when there is a population that is not adequately represented or under research in the evidence base or prior research. So, for example, if there's a lot of research done in the Northern America context, for example, right, but there is none actually done in Asian context, for example, and that's an example of population gap. So, whichever gaps that exist in finding a research ideas, the gap will actually worthwhile if only the gap can provide contribution. Originality is one aspect that is important for research ideas, but potential contributions to the literature and practice is the second aspect of research ideas that must be fulfilled. In other words, not all gaps are research-worthy gaps, because you can find gaps anywhere, but very easy to find gaps. There are so many things that have not been researched, and there are gaps. Question is that those gaps are important to be researched or not. I'll show you one example here. Right? In the picture, you can actually see two variables. One variable is the chocolate consumption, right, in different countries. The other variable is the Nobel laureate, right, Nobel Prize winner, if you like, per 10 million population. If we link these two variables, then we can actually see the relationships, right? In China, for example, here, Switzerland there, Sweden there, Denmark there. The question is that really that the number of Nobel Prize winners in each country is related to the chocolate consumption in the countries? Thing is, maybe. The thing is, maybe not. And even if it does, what is actually the point of doing this research? Right? Because we actually link two variables that are not really actually contributing to the literature and to the practice. Okay, so in the sense that you can actually find 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever variables that can be linked together. You can actually try to find relationships across or among variables. The question is, are there actually worthy gaps? Not all gaps are research-worthy gaps. Only gaps that can produce or create or offer contributions in practice or contributions in to the literature are worthy to be researched. Okay. Now, how can we actually find these worthy gaps? You need to do preliminary research. Do initial gathering of information on potential research ideas. The sources of information can be published literature, conference proceeding, news articles, websites, or even observation, right, from the real practice. And then you classify these gathered information, provide or try to find the background information in terms of what are the contextual factors related to the topic. how are these related to the topic in terms of, for example, the issues themselves, the location, the factors, relationships. And then you look at the literature a bit more. Do or dig a bit deeper. What existing knowledge is already known? What work has already been carried out? So if most work has been done, if the existing knowledge is already solid, it means that the topic has
Sorry, Prof. We cannot hear.
Professor Hadrian.
Hello, Prof.
sorry, my connection is lost. Right. So can you
Yeah.
hear me? Right. Okay.
Yeah, you.
I will share my slides then. Okay. So I'll continue with these slides. And so in the literature process of finding or review process, you need to evaluate the relevant theories as well, theoretical concept, and no research is considered a research if there is no theoretical framework or background to support the ideas. And that's sometimes important to remember that the theory itself must link to the topic that someone or you in this case probably want to study. There are so many theories, but you need to really find the relevant theories that applies to the topic. And then you review relevant published works or prior projects, provide comprehensive knowledge related to the research topics, avoid duplicating prior research project. It means that if you do that, you don't actually contribute to anything. To expand on recent development in area of study, that's also important. To compare with other studies, it's also important. And to review scholarly academic sources and also applied business sources is also important. Okay, there's an approach that you can actually use to reading or filtering the literature. It's called the cocktail glass approach. So you see this picture shows a cocktail glass. So you start with this wide-ranging initial literature search. Then you filter this using keywords. That's the first thing, using keywords. And then you look at the key research papers. Doesn't need to be too many, right? 3, 4, 5, right? Key research papers. Usually, these are papers that come from high-quality journals. Usually, these papers are cited a lot by other researchers, and hopefully, as much as possible, they are current or up to date. So from these key research papers, could be 3 again to 5, again, doesn't need to be too many. And then you dig deeper, right, to narrow this, to provide, to create this narrow literature base. From this wide-ranging initial literature search, again, you come up with this key research paper, and then you develop this further, but in a narrow way. So you create this narrow literature base. And this would be the way for your study. Okay, so once you actually know from these key research papers what you want to do, then it will be much easier to just find some other strong literature to support your study. People say, oh, you need to basically write 200, 300 papers before. Well, not really. So because when you actually do this initial literature search, you do filtering. That's the important bit. You do filtering and find these key research papers. This is the most important one, key research papers. And after that, you probably need to find another 30 or something, right? Probably, right? That would basically enough, right, to support a quality publication or a quality thesis or dissertation. Okay. There's another also approach that you can use, a checklist. The acronym of that is SMART. This checklist can be used for good research question or for developing good research question. If you apply this question to all the SMART elements, then it will help you develop good, solid, or justified research question. The research question must be specific, must be focused without ambiguity. It should be measurable. It should be achievable. It should be realistic. And it has a time frame. So it means that it should be achievable within a given time. So if you do your doctoral study, that given time of your study need to be included in this SMART approach. Okay. Right. Okay, now let's move to the second part of the presentation, which is research trend. We heard the concept of the word trend all the time. Trend, trend. Now people think that research trend is important. Is it really? Well, let's see the definition first. In general, a research trend, often also termed as a research problem, is understood as a situation where the interests and needs of society coincide with the current scientific results. In other words, research trend can only be a research trend if current scientific result or the current research, if you like, coincide with the needs of the society. So there are two elements here: what happens in the real world and what's actually being studied and published. And if they actually match or fit to each other, that is a research trend. So research trend doesn't mean that, oh, okay, right, there are so many papers actually published in a certain area and that's a research trend. Well, not really, right? The research trend only becomes research trend if there is a fit between those publications and what happened in the real world. How to find research trend then? Well, we have to remain up to date with the literature in our field. We need to explore materials beyond research papers, so we can go to magazines, business literature, and other sources. Participate in conferences, seminar, workshop is also good, and also observe the practical phenomena. Okay, so now we have discussed already about research process and research trends. Today's discussion focuses on sustainability. So not really sure how many of you have understood or have really at least got enough knowledge or insight about sustainability. So I will give you probably around 10 or 15 minutes, 10 minutes probably, discussion about sustainability. The word sustainability comes from the definition of it, which is the capacity to endure. Sustain means endure. The ideas of sustainability came about in relation to organizations since long time ago. But the concept of sustainability gained its momentum starting in 1987 when the United Nations assigned this commission, World Commission on Environment and Development, to define sustainable development. So this report, our Common Future Report, more commonly known as the Brundtland Report, is named after the chair of the commission, Gro Harlem Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, that defines sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. That's the definition of sustainable development that obviously derived from the concept of sustainability. So sustainable development is about using resources more efficiently in order for society to reduce not only its impact on the environment, but on the economy while improving social impact, both locally and globally, to ensure a fairer and more sustainable future. So the significance of sustainability is actually easy to understand, right? So if we actually read these pre-Indian prophecies in a long time ago, only when the last tree has died and the last river been poisoned and the last fish been caught, will we realize we cannot eat money. The reality is that as much as we realize it or not, that we borrow this planet from our future generation. So we got a responsibility to maintain it for our future generation. There are three pillars of sustainability: social, environment, and economic. Sometimes people use the word people, planet, and profit, the three P's. So only when all the pillars are satisfied, only if organization can achieve the three pillars, they will achieve sustainability. Okay. Now, social performance are quite easy to understand. The entity's impact on the social system in its operating field. The economic performance is the traditional performance of organization in which that the indicators relates to economic performance are commonly used in financial accounting and are expressed in monetary terms. Environmental performance have the effect on organization action on natural resources, including the earth, ecosystem, air, and water. The implication of sustainability goes beyond just government responsibility. It goes down to companies' responsibility, even to us individuals. Government and companies have to consider the impact on the three pillars of society, environment, and economy when they are making decisions and formulating policies. So at the government level or nation level, if you like, recently the United Nations developed these Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. Some of you probably have heard this SDG, right? Lately, especially. It's actually been around for 8 years probably now, right? The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are targets for global development adopted in September 2015 to hopefully achieve some targets by 2030. And all countries, including Indonesia, have agreed to work towards achieving these goals. So the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are defined in a list of 169 targets. The progress toward this target is also agreed to be tracked by 232 unique indicators. So it's a very comprehensive tools, if you like, in achieving sustainable development. So the 17 goals, they say to transform our world includes no poverty, SDG number 1, 2 partnerships for the goals, SDG number 17, and there are a few SDGs that recently become probably more popular. For example, SDG number 5, gender equality, right? SDG number 13, climate action. Those SDGs are probably heard more, right, recently. But all of these are important SDGs. So from the point of view of governments, they have responsibility in achieving the targets. But SDGs also can be applied at organizational level. Now, when we actually talk about organizational level, we heard this concept since long time ago. Corporate social responsibility, CSR. But a concept whereby companies integrate social and environmental concern in their business operation and in their interaction with their stakeholders on a voluntary basis. So the concept of CSR is also derived from the three pillars of sustainability. In the past, these three pillars often called as triple bottom line. Probably again, some of you have heard the concept of triple bottom line. So there's nothing really, really new about sustainability. As I mentioned before, it has been around for long, right? But recently, because the importance of maintaining the environment, contributing to the society, become more important, the concept also becomes more crucial to be taken more seriously. The challenges for companies and organizations is always to become still economically viable. Without economic viability, obviously company cannot survive, but also socially and environmentally responsible. So the topic usually in terms of the trend, if we want to link that to the trend in the industry or in the real world or the actual practice is whether this can be achieved and how to achieve it. And this also actually become the trend in research in relation to sustainability. I'll give you more details about the trends soon, right, in terms of sustainability research. The other thing that is important is how to disclose them. So when companies already perform some activities in relation to sustainability, they need to disclose them. Social and environmental disclosure are important, not only to promote the activities that they do, but also to encourage people to also do the same, or other companies to do the same. Now, the normal corporate reporting, in where we can see social and environmental disclosure, are either annual reports itself or standalone non-financial reports separately, right? We sometimes it's also called ESG report, or combined report, or even website, newsletter, bulletin, etc., etc. So accounting people will focus on corporate reporting, right? Some people actually use the data from this reporting to do other research as well. Now there are a few. I just show you a few things. There are few, if you like, dominant or major reporting process or tools that people are use or company use to produce sustainability reporting. One of them is this, the global initiatives form or tools that is commonly now used. There's also a newer movement, right? While GRI started in 2000, year 2000, this one started 10 years after that, integrated reporting, in which that this organization was trying to combine the financial and non-financial reportings together. More recently, just 2 years ago, right, the International Sustainability Standard Board was also developed. And the idea is that the formalization of the sustainable reporting combinations with financial reporting hopefully can be achieved soon. So by doing that, standardizations can be started or to be implemented. And having standard means that the assurance of sustainability report can also be applied or implemented. So those are issues in relation to the reporting side of sustainability. Now, you have learned a lot now, right, about the ideas of sustainability, the reporting side of it. And when we talk about research, there also a concept of theory mentioned before, right? No research actually research without strong or acceptable or adequate, if you like, conceptual or theoretical background. This is just an example, right? So in sustainability area, this is one of the dominant theory that usually use, political economic theory, which is the social, political, and economic framework within which human life takes place. And in this theory, it described that economic issues cannot be investigated in the absence of the political, social, and institutional framework within which economic activity takes place. There are two major theories under this political economic theory. One is legitimacy theory. The second one is stakeholder theory. Legitimacy theory talks about how organizations seek to ensure they operate within the bounds and norms of their respective society. It implies that companies need to act according to the expectations of the community and are expected to carry out their business activities within the boundaries of what the society accepts to be the norm. So this legitimacy theory basically say companies follows what the society wants, right? To ensure that they are acceptable or they're accepted if you are by the society. The stakeholders theory is a different theory. It's a theory of organization management and business ethics that addresses morals and values in managing an organization. So instead of so-called externally driven, stakeholder theory is probably more internally or intrinsically driven. It's based more on the ethics or business ethics in this case, so focuses on morals and values in managing an organization. There are so many other theories that can be applied. This is just an example of one or two dominant theory that usually applied in research and sustainability. Now we go to the trend in sustainability research. Okay, how to find research trend in sustainability? We discussed before how to find trend in research, right? You need to do literature research, read journal article, read business magazines, talk to experienced people, go to conferences, workshop, etc., right? Observe the phenomena in practice, right? The thing is that find research trend is not easy. That's one thing. Second thing, that it changes all the time. That's why it's called research trend, right? It changes all the time. It's not easy to do. So if there are others that actually done it, we don't need to actually do a new thing. We don't need to reinvent the wheel when you don't have to, right? I don't think the way to do it is to find solid source, either from practice or either from the research literature or journal papers, if you like, right? That actually show indications of research trend. Okay. This is an example. This is a recent one, just published recently from Deloitte. When you see Deloitte, it's a good organization, obviously, right? Giant consulting group, right? So reliability is there. They actually got this trend radar in terms of sustainability. Remember the research trend definition. In general, a research trend is understood as a situation where the interests and needs of society coincide with the current scientific results. So if we basically learn from this society, right, industry, right, future of sustainability, the next step is just to link that with the current finding in the journal or in the literature. That will get you to the research trend sustainability. In this report, they show 4 mega trends in sustainability: corporate responsibility, circularity, sustainable technology and data, and decarbonization. Already 4 mega trends in sustainability. So if you want to try to find research trends, these are the 4 big ones. Okay, then you think, how about the topics then? They offer you some topics. So corporate responsibility refers to the ethical and voluntary action taken by companies to address social, environmental, and economic issues in a way that goes beyond their legal obligation. And they offer macro trends, they call it. Sustainability as stakeholders value, the value of ESG, environment, social, and governance, fights against greenwashing, diversity and inclusion, transparency, sustainability incentive, fair and equal pay, corporate activism, new era of income structures. Those topics can be used as a basis if you actually like to do research that is current. Circularity. Circularity aims at reducing waste, preserving natural resources, and creating a sustainable future. And they also offer some macro trends: regeneration and biodiversity, sustainable consumption and lifestyle, system thinking, sharing economy, right? Some more. Upcycling as well, zero waste as well, prosumer economy as well, right? So we don't have time to discuss this one by one, but those are examples of the macro trend under the sustainable trend of circularity. Sustainable technology and data. You heard about this technology nowadays more and more, data as well, right? Technology and data-driven solutions play an important role in addressing environmental and social issues, and there are some options as well: eco-friendly construction, smart data, alternative materials, artificial intelligence. These also the things that we have heard more recently. And decarbonization, also popular. Decarbonization refers to the process of reducing or eliminating carbon emission, including from transportation and energy production. Carbon tracking and optimization, renewable energy, alternative powertrains, emission handling, energy harvesting, etc., etc. Once you got those trends from the industry, then you can actually come back to this cocktail glass approach to identify reliable and important research trends. So depending on your areas, right? Because I really don't know what your topics, right, for your doctoral study, right? You can actually choose probably one or two, right, the trends that come from the industry side. Then you do this approach, then you can identify whether the topic is trendy or not. That's the idea. Okay. Now, my question is that when we focus on research trend, is it really important? Does focusing on research trends lead to worthy research? Now, I'm not sure whether you actually have the answer of this or not, right? But I will ask you this question in the next session, which is the Q&A, right? So we will actually have discussions about this question, right? Once we reach this session, which is now, right? So with this, I finish my presentations. I think it takes about 40 something minutes, if not mistaken, as requested, right? So hopefully then we got some time for Q&A, right? Thank you very much. So I'll return the screen, in this case, not the floor, the screen to the moderator, Ibu Karisma, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. This is a very interesting topic about research trend in sustainability. So we can see that's what must to do before we doing research. We must have a research idea. We can discuss, review, also communicate with other friends or other people, so we can find interesting topic about our quality research. And one most I think this is very important is about I get new. I think this all audience in here get new knowledge is about not only research gap, but there is 7 research gap what we must learn learn. It's about population gap, evidence gap, knowledge, practical knowledge. That's actually in when we study in doctoral program, uh, we also insert research gap, empirical gap, phenomena gap. I think only that we insert in our dissertation. But no, we have new knowledge. It's about 7 research gap. And then we can do preliminary research. We get the co- cocktail glass to the filter about our literature. I think it's very important if we wanna fill in the research our research background. And then we must when we wanna doing the research, we have to about like smart list. Yeah. Okay, I think that's very interesting topic. It's very amazing. Thank you, Prof. Adrian. And the next is Q&A session. Maybe everyone have something to ask or maybe can write in chat box. Okay, everyone, don't hesitate to ask.
Can I ask one question to the audience, please? Then, right? So come back to my
Okay.
right. So, and then the topic of the presentation is research trend. But the question is that, do you actually need to do research that is trendy? It is important. Is it really important to basically do a research that is a trendy one? Anyone want to try to answer?
Okay. Maybe there is one answer. Bu Beni, one answer.
Sorry, Prof. Adrian, can you repeat again? Not clear the questions.
Okay. The question is that, does focusing on research trends lead to worthy research? So if you want to do research, do you actually need to do research that is trendy?
I think it's one of ways to get like a novelty, because based on my experience, if you want to research something object, we have to know what kind of issue that, for example, like the topic that we discussed today about sustainability. And I also have questions for you, Prof. Adrian.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
you can continue with your question probably soon. But is there any other? And I'll come back to you, right? Pak Yuan, yeah. So
Okay. Thank you.
From others. So Pak Yuan basically said it is important to do research that is trendy, because then you basically do research that is current, right, up to date, right? Yeah. So that's one side of the point. The answer from Pak Yuan. Is there any
Yes.
other?
All right.
From
Is
no?
there any answer?
Bahasa Indonesia
I
juga
think
boleh.
yeah, I think if we wanna doing research, we must connect with the trend topic, like that. The last trending topic is about COVID-19, because we as author, we not only publish, we also need citation.
Yeah.
So in we must create connecting with the trend, because we can get citation, Prof. Maybe like that.
That's good. Thank you. Okay. So your answers are half correct, right? In the sense that it is always good to find topics that is so-called trendy, right? Current, up to date, yes. But the thing is, once the topic is trending, there will be so many publications already made. Okay. Once publications are made, it means that the chance of you to find worthy research gap become less. Because once the research is done, knowledge already being contributed to the literature, the link to the practice have been actually made as well. It means that the ideas to find research gap will become less, right? So you see my point, right? So it means that there should be a balance in terms of finding a research that is current, that can also provide you with the research gap that creates a study that then you can also contribute. But once everything is done, right, so many people have written within the topic. Obviously, it's a trend, right? It is a trend, right? But once everybody wrote papers, knowledge is already covered, and the gap become actually less worthy in that case. right? So the message is that find a research trend that is still provides you with a worthy research gap, right? Once the research trend already satisfied all the ideas of that are needed, right, to cover a topic, then there will be a less chance you find a worthy research gap. Okay, there's two sides of the coin, if you like, right, in this situation. Okay, so I may probably come back to Pak Yuan, right? So Pak Yuan, we can probably continue with your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Adrian. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Juan Kasma. I'm a student at Jakarta Campus Business Administration doctoral program, Prof.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in sustainability and tax, Prof.
Yeah.
Based on my experience, two kind of variables, sustainability and tax avoidance, is like a two variable opposite each other. So, how about your opinion about two variable? It's a worth for to research or not? Even as we know, if you want to research some variable, we have to collect the variables. We have to collect the journals and something like that. But I want to hear your opinion about sustainability and tax avoidance. It is worth it to research or not based on your experience? Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Okay, so it's actually a really good topic, by the way. The thing about sustainability is that if there is still really low, if you like, awareness in terms of the value of sustainability, and if sustainability is still considered as the cost-driven activities, right? So people, companies need to care for the environment, right? Provide evidence of support to the society. Right? If company thinks that they are costs, right, then they are less value, right, for those activities, obviously they are reluctant to do it, right? Because the focus still on financial visibility or financial performance. Obviously, then the ideas of trying to reduce costs as much as possible become an issue there. So level of awareness is the first step. The second step is to see whether the supply chain, if you like, or the other stakeholders of the companies also react on the activities of the company. In the more developed countries, or also in the international relations arena, these so-called players, right, within the supply chains actually influence each other. For example, a company actually doesn't focus on sustainability. The supplier probably doesn't want to supply, right, their material to that particular company because they didn't see that the company provide enough or efforts, right, or put enough efforts to focus on sustainability. At the same time, sometimes even their products are actually quote unquote rejected by the customers or consumers, because consumer or customers wants also to buy products from so-called green, for example, companies. Right? So that mechanisms create so-called peer pressure among each other, right? Then everyone is forced to focus on sustainability. Now, the good thing is that once that system develops, everybody actually achieve the benefits because they actually see sustainability as an advantage. Because if a company doesn't do that, right, the stakeholders will react and they will lose the market. So sustainability become an advantage. Now, once they actually achieve, there is no really actually reasons to basically so-called avoid costs, right? So most likely, right, tax avoidance also become less. But in a country where things are still at the learning stage, including Indonesia, right? So obviously, circumstantial, context-wise, companies are still learning about sustainability. The focus are still on the ideas of making money, right? Profits, right, etc., etc. So I think that is a good topic to research, because then you can actually, if you do that, then you can actually see what is the level of awareness, right? What is the level of acceptance of sustainability in Indonesian company, for example, right? And how actually that leads to avoidance of costs, including tax. And that would actually provide contribution, right, to the literature, context-wise Indonesia, for example, right, and also to the practice. Because then you can actually see, hey, this is what's happening now, right? There should be efforts done to basically provide more awareness, more understanding, more acceptance in sustainability, and try to work together to avoid looking at sustainability as a burden, as a cost burden. That is a good topic, Bayon.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Hadrian.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Adrian, Pak Chuan. I think maybe once more from Hiski.
Yes,
Hiski.
thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Afternoon.
My name is Iski. I am a doctoral student in Accounting Department, Universitas Brawijaya.
Yeah.
And currently, I'm doing some research about what decarbonizations, Prof, about carbon performance. So my research idea is to analyze the carbon performance in polluting countries such as Indonesia. And I'm using the internal factors, the strategic carbon, to analyze the influence about carbon performance. And I also use political connection for the external factor. So I have some limitation about collecting the data, because in Indonesia, there are so small company that disclose their sustainability report, and I'm also having some limitation about the practical gap and the contribution. Maybe I need some suggestion from user about my research topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. If you got problems in a sense, or limitation in terms of finding data, the reality is that it means that the research is not feasible. Now, when we actually do research, there are a lot of feasibility that needs to be fulfilled. One of them is data availability. Second is whether the research can be done within the time that is available. Third one, probably financial feasibility, right? Whether it can be done within the financial constraint, right? And as a doctoral student, you got time constraint, right? You got the probably in this situation is data constraint. So honestly speaking, if you don't have data, you don't have solid research, right? That's clear. Now, the other way to do it is, if you actually want to still focus on that topic, you have to move away from quantitative research, right? Because you cannot actually get enough data to justify your findings if you still focus on quant. Okay, you can actually modify your topic still within the ideas of general ideas, still the same, right? Carbon, right? Political influence or whatever, but you have to do or move that methodology one and shift that to qualitative approach. Now, I can suggest that, but obviously it needs to be basically discussed with your supervisor. But the reality is that the data is not feasible, you won't have good research. As simple as that, right? That's unavoidable, is key, right? So I'm not really sure how big is the limitation. Maybe if you still have enough data, although it's probably limited, then you can play around with the approach, the tools, the stats, if you like, in terms of analyzing.
Okay,
So
Prof.
not really sure how big the data that you can get, but if it's too small, even for any stats that can actually justify the findings, then again, obviously the research is not there. Right. So
So,
that's the methodology.
so choose the qualitative.
Yes,
Mm.
right. So there are many statistical approaches that you can apply, but that's why I said depending on how limited your data is, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
if you, for example, want to look at or using normal regression, for example, or covariant based, for example, approach, then obviously you need to have certain numbers of data, right? But if you got enough data, for example, to go, for example, to a bit less rigorous structural equation modeling, for example, then you may probably justify your finding as well. But if its data is too limited, then you not even a good stat can actually justify the funding, the findings. Obviously, the way to do it is to move to qualitative approach. So you do, for example, interview, you dig
Mhm.
deep into opinions of people.
Yes.
That may work.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Hiski. Thank you, Prof, for the answer. I think we have the next topic for the next agenda is about uh, data analysis, maybe, Prof, the next agenda. Okay, thank you, everyone. I think this is enough. I think before we close this session, we can have photo session. Maybe everyone can open the camera and we can take photo session before we closing. And while waiting participant to open camera, don't forget to fill the attendance for this session. Okay, maybe the committee will be held this photo session. Okay, please open your camera.
Okay, I will count.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Who's will take photo? Who, Benny or me?
Yeah, I can do that. Keep
Okay.
smile. I will count from 1, 2, 3 for the first slide. And the second slide, 1, 2, 3. Okay, already done.
Okay, thank you, Bu Beni. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is all about. I think this is all the last session. No, not the last. After this, we have other session, and for the third session, I think this is can be closed now. Before I close, I wanna say thank you very much to Prof. Hadrian Jayadikerta for the very
Yeah.
interesting topic. Actually, I am very nervous to moderator him because he is very important person. Okay. Thank you for everyone who which already joined this program. See you in the
Mbak,
next session.
thank you,
Yes.
Mbak. Thank you, Mbak Karisma. Thank
Yeah,
you
I
for
will offer to Bu Beni. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Hadrian Jayadikerta, for the valuable insight about research trend in sustainability. And once again, thank you, Mbak Karisma, for as a moderator. This is the last session of sharing and knowledge session for today. Before we end the third session, on behalf of Administrative Science faculty, we would like to give highly appreciation to the speaker, Professor Hadrian Jayadikerta, and also for moderator by presenting certificate for speaker and moderator virtually. The certificates will be shared here on screen. Once again, thank you, Professor Hadrian, for inspiring presentation and valuable insight about research trend and sustainability. The second certificate is for moderator, Mbak Karisma Sri Rahayu. Thank you very much. Are you now in still Bali, Mbak Karisma? Okay,
Yes,
thank you so much.
still conference.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Professor Hadrian.
Thank you very much. All the best for your study.
Thank you. Well, our distinguished speaker, lecturers, guests, and participants, thank you so much for your enthusiasm and passion to be with us until the end of the session. In 3-in-1 Doctor of Administrative Science titled Advancing Research Capacity in Sustainability. We now come to the end of today's event. I would like to remind you again that tomorrow we still have one more session that worth it to participate and enjoy. Tomorrow we will invite Associate Professor Ferry Chi from School of Business and Law, Edith Cowan University, Australia, that will discuss and present about research trend and sustainable supply chain. Please join again tomorrow. The seminar will be started at 8 a.m. Please be there on time in Zoom meeting. The link of the Zoom is the same like today. Once again, thank you for all of you for participating and contributing to this fruitful sharing and discussion. See you again tomorrow. Remain blessed and goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Bu
you.
Pren.
Thank you, Mbak Dewi. Thank you, Prof. Hadrian.
Makasih.
Thank you, Mbak Karisma. Thank you for all participants. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m.